Good day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan battle video. In this video we are going to preview Radditz and Nappa, the two banner units that will be coming as the next DFE banner on global in between the anniversary and the worldwide celebration campaign. So usually this celebration or this period's not the best time to be investing stones because there's a lot of hype about what the worldwide celebration could be, but as a full disclaimer or as just a full heads up, always summon for whichever unit you really like. And yeah, but let's talk about Radditz, let's talk about Nappa. So Radditz is a Sand Saga or Pure Sands category lead of 170% with an additional 30% for characters who also belong to Space Traveling Warriors. This is a lot of Nappa's Bardoks, Vegetas, a lot of those units that are going to be covered by here. Having a Sand Saga lead is also pretty cool, and being another Pure Sands lead is something that's very good. Radditz's leader skill is pretty solid across the board. He also has Brutal Beatdown, Sand Warrior Race, Coward, Sand Lineage, Prepared for Battle, Nightmare, and Fierce Battle. Sand Warrior Race, Sand Lineage, Prepared for Battle, and Fierce Battle are all incredibly solid links, and across the board are pretty decent, I would say. Nightmare, Coward, Brutal Beatdown are more Radditz tied links, but across the board I think he's pretty decent in terms of linkage. Then in terms of passive, he has attack and defense of 150% with an additional attack and defense of 50% when performing a super attack if facing only one enemy, and if that enemy's HP is 50% or less when the character performs a super attack, plus an additional attack of 100% and a high chance of performing a crit. He also performs a critical hit within the same turn after receiving an attack, plus an additional defense of 150% when facing 2 or more enemies. He also has Ki plus 2 for the rest of battle after delivering a final blow. So, attack and defense of 150% is a very good situation, but Radditz's passive in general, it has 2 situations, and to get both to sync up for Radditz to have his full passive effect is incredibly difficult. So, Radditz gains 50% attack and defense when performing a super attack, if facing only one enemy. That's okay, it's pretty good for things like ESBR, SBR, or Red Zone, things like that. The multiplicative of 50% attack and defense means that his total boost of 150% is a lot higher, which is pretty good. Obviously, it's only when he's facing one enemy. Now, when that enemy's HP is 50% or less, he's going to do 100% extra attack with a high chance of performing a critical hit. That's okay, I guess, to help you finish off the enemies, but the problem is that's 2 multiplicators that are then locked further away behind other restrictions. Then he has an additional 150% when facing 2 or more enemies. This is good, obviously, for things like ESBR and SBR, but again, the problem is that it's just very conditional. You then can't activate his additional 100% attack bonuses against 2 or more enemies. So against 2 or more enemies, he's not going to be hitting very hard, whereas against one enemy, he's not going to have his full range of defense. It just feels a little bit counterintuitive, and I think that's where people's issues with Radditz lie. I think compared to some of the other units, which are effectively simpler to run, Ginyu is just stick him on a Ginyu Force team. The 7th year LRs are just stick them in a team. Majin Vegeta, okay, he needs a Trunks, but it's not so hard to get a Trunks on some of his teams. It's just Trunks units. There's like all these units, I think, where Goku and Gohan, again, just stick them on their team. AGL Cell, again, just stick him on his team. I feel like Radditz being so conditional is what makes people I think that kind of pushes Radditz into that kind of confusion-based category. In terms of his active skill, it can be activated when facing only one enemy after he receives an attack 3 or more times, which is interesting. They obviously want him to take attacks to activate his active skill, which causes ultimate damage, stuns the enemy, which is great, and greatly raises attack temporarily. It can only be used when facing one enemy, so again, you can't stun the enemies in Red Zone, so it's an effect that's good for the final stages of an SBR or ESBR. But yeah, this guy's going to be a good unit for people who struggle to be Pure Sands ESBR. It's a very difficult ESBR, and Radditz is going to be a great solution to that. and to any stage he's on in the future. He's on Saiyan Saga, Low Class Warriors, Pure Saiyans, Goku's Family, Terrifying Conquerors, and Space Traveling Warriors. And he also greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn. Across the board, I think Radditz is okay, but I think you could definitely just do better with the unit overall. And I think using stones on them in between Worldwide Celebration is just not worth the time. Unless you absolutely desperately need a Pure Saiyans lead, or you have a strong emotional attachment to Radditz, I would not suggest investing on him. Then, of course, we also have Nappa as well. So Nappa is pretty cool. Nappa is also a Saiyan Saga lead of 130%, which is pretty decent. He greatly raises defense 1 turn on his super attack. And he has attack of 178% and raises defense by up to 780%. The more HP remaining, the greater the stat boost. Attack of 78% when facing only one enemy. He gives Saiyan Saga category allies key of 2 and attack and defense of 30, plus an additional attack of 7% and defense of 8% for Saiyan Saga category allies per existing superclass enemy. So that's interesting. Obviously that means him and Radditz together are going to be incredibly good in stages where you face a lot of super enemies. You stick the two of them together and they're going to be very, very powerful. Nappa's going to have a huge amount of defense to set up Radditz. He's going to be great in that first slot. He's going to have attack of 78% when facing into one enemy. Obviously that's a bit more conditional, but he's going to give Radditz a huge boost. And if they're facing 2 or 3 superclass enemies, he's going to be giving another 21%, another 24% defense. So you can clearly see that they're designed for stages where you're facing multiple enemies. They're not designed for situations, well, not that they're not, but they excel in things like ESPR and SPR, where you're going to be able to use them to start the battle. Nappa is going to be able to set up Radditz. Radditz can sit in the second slot. Both of them can stun and control and administer a lot of pain to the opposition. And as you whittle them down to one enemy, between the active skill, the attack buffs, they'll be able to take them out very, very quickly. So they are very good from that perspective. In terms of link set, Nappa's link set I feel like doesn't represent what they should have possibly done to make him kind of sit really well with Radditz. For example, he's got shocking speed, doesn't have prepared for battle. He's got brutal beatdown, which Radditz does have, and he's got Saiyan Warrior Race. But they don't share a lot of links. Obviously the support makes up for that, but I feel like whereas you look at Gildo and Raccoon, who linked fantastically with Ginyu, I feel like doing that with Nappa would have also aided Radditz a lot. Giving Nappa 4 or 5 of Radditz's links really would have made the pairing, having the two of them, feel a lot more substantial. That's the thing with Ginyu. Like, Ginyu is great as a unit, but when you have his 2 banner units and you stick them alongside Ginyu, then all of a sudden you have a super unit. You have like a mega unit. Then in terms of the rest, Nappa does have an active skill, which can be activated when facing 3 or more enemies or after he receives an attack 6 or more times, and that causes ultimate damage to the enemy, lowers their attack by 31% and lowers defense by 81%, and seals the super attack for 1 turn. So you can see that they really are meant to be run together. You can use Nappa's active skill against the multiple enemies to really weaken them. Him and Radditz can soften them up, stun them, beat them, crit them. And then as they get down progressively to one enemy, you can follow that up with Radditz's active skill. So they really made to be a dangerous pairing, I think. And it's good that they release units prioritized other content. I do like that, and I think it does help you still in a lot of content. And then on the super attack, he greatly raises defense for 1 turn. So that is pretty much it in terms of all their details. Honestly, like I said, unless you love the Saiyan Saga, or you love Radditz, I wouldn't summon. Now, that being said, the Saiyan Saga team is progressively getting pretty nice. You've got Kaioken Goku, you've got Tech Grade 8 Vegeta, you've got this Radditz, you've got Nappa, and if you throw on the Goku and Piccolo exchange unit, you actually have a pretty kind of cool, funky team, and Goku and Piccolo are also very strong. It's a fun team to run, but I don't think it's worth investing a lot of stones, especially with the placement of the banner. Now, obviously, that could be subject to the banner itself, but we'll take a look at that when we get there. But that's gonna be it from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, take care, stay safe, and bye.